The city lights shimmered like a sea of stars, but none glowed brighter than the names that had become legends, Zhan and Wang Yibo. Two artists who began as co-stars on a drama that reshaped an entire generation's heartbeat, and who went on to inspire not just fan devotion, but movements of kindness, generosity, and hope. Across the world, from the misty dawn streets of Chengdu to the glittering skyline of New York, fans were not just cheering. They were building, planting, donating, healing. They had turned admiration into action. Theirs was no ordinary fandom. It was a force, a living, breathing current of energy that pulsed across continents, languages, and dreams. The story begins quietly, with two young men standing shoulder to shoulder on a set wrapped in fog and ancient costumes. The air was thick with incense and anticipation. Zhan, with his gentle eyes and effortless warmth, carried an aura of quiet dignity. Wang Yibo, with his fierce gaze and mysterious calm, balanced that energy like wind balancing fire. Together, they brought a story to life, one that would change everything. When the Untamed aired, it wasn't just a drama. It was an awakening. Audiences didn't just watch, they felt. They followed these two characters and the men behind them into a new world. And when the credits rolled, something unexpected happened. Instead of fading away, the love multiplied. The first fan project started small. In a university dorm room in Shanghai, a young fan scrolled through social media and saw how the show's message of compassion echoed her own values. Instead of buying another fan banner, she pooled money with her classmates to donate blankets to a children's shelter in honor of Zhan's birthday. When she posted about it online, the post went viral overnight. Other fans joined in, some sending school supplies to rural areas, others donating to hospitals. By the end of the month, dozens of Zhan fan clubs had organized similar projects. What began as a gesture became a movement. And then, something even more beautiful happened. Wang Yibo's fans noticed. In Seoul, a group of Yibo fans raised funds to provide meals to the elderly in local communities. In Thailand, fans built a small library for children in rural schools. They said it was inspired by Wang Yibo's discipline, his focus, his humility, qualities that reminded them that true strength is quiet and true success is service. It was as if two constellations had appeared in the night sky, each shining on its own, yet illuminating the same world. In one breathtaking scene in this real-life story, thousands of fans across Asia gathered for what would later be called the Light Project. Instead of holding glow sticks at a concert, they held candles, not for a performance, but for hope. Each candle represented a donation: food for the hungry, books for students, shelter for stray animals. The flicker of lights, stretching across a dark stadium, created a sea of gold. Some fans wept quietly, realizing that their admiration had transformed into something real, something healing. It wasn't about the celebrities anymore. It was about what they had taught them to become. Zhan himself once said in an interview, "If people like me, I hope they also like the goodness I strive for." He didn't need to say more. His fans heard him clearly. From then on, every birthday, every milestone, every award was celebrated not with grand displays of wealth, but with acts of kindness. In 2021, fans collectively funded the renovation of classrooms in rural China, naming the project after his fanbase, but dedicating it to the children. They provided heating systems for schools where winter used to bite through thin walls, and desks where students could finally write in comfort. Wang Yibo's fans, known for their fierce loyalty and sharp creativity, launched their own waves of giving. They organized blood donation drives under the slogan, "Ride for Life," inspired by his love for motorcycles and racing. The symbolism was powerful. Speed turned into life-saving urgency. Fans would roll up their sleeves, post pictures with the tagline, "Yibo gave me courage." Every year, the initiatives grew. Reforestation projects in his name. Ocean cleanups inspired by his environmental advocacy. Even rescue efforts for stray animals, each project pulsing with purpose. But the most heart-stopping moments came when the two fandoms, often portrayed as rivals online, joined hands. It began quietly with one message on Weibo, Let's make something beautiful together for them. No names, no competition, just unity. Within days, Xiao fans and Wang Yibo fans launched a joint charity campaign to support children with disabilities. They pooled resources, designed merchandise, and directed every yuan earned toward rehabilitation programs. It was unprecedented. Two massive fandoms, often compared, now collaborating in harmony. At the charity event's closing night, volunteers shared photos of children smiling, holding small stars cut out of paper, each one bearing a message. Thank you for loving us. That night, across social media, fans of both actors began using the same hashtag. Hashtag Love is the Real Untamed. It trended for days. In another awe-inspiring project, international fans took the movement global. In Indonesia, fans planted mangrove trees to combat flooding. In Mexico, groups collected toys for children in hospitals. In Canada, fans organized art auctions to fund mental health awareness programs, all under the shared message, inspired by Xiao and Wang Yibo. And perhaps the most moving moment of all came from Africa, where a small team of fans in Kenya built a water well in a drought-stricken village. They named it the Twin Stars Well. When the water first began to flow, the villagers cheered. The fans sent videos of the event online, where thousands of viewers cried openly in the comments. From 2 stars, water for life, one user wrote. But it wasn't always easy. There were storms. When controversies arose, when misunderstandings flared, when social media grew wild and judgmental, it was the fans who steadied the ship. Instead of fighting back with anger, many chose to respond with more kindness. They launched campaigns promoting online civility and mental health awareness. They raised funds for anti-bullying programs. They reminded one another that their idols stood for grace under pressure. A viral video once captured this perfectly. A fan standing alone in a subway station in Beijing, holding a sign that read, "Kindness is louder than hate." Behind her were rows of food packages labeled, in honor of Xiao and Wang Yibo. She handed them to commuters with a smile. The video reached millions. It wasn't just an act of fandom anymore, it was a revolution of empathy. Today, years after the Untamed first captured hearts, its legacy burns brighter than ever. Not just in the world of television, but in the real world, where people continue to build hospitals, plant trees, donate blood, and feed the hungry under the banner of love inspired by 2 men who simply lived with authenticity. Imagine the montage. A child in rural China writing at a new desk. A grandmother in Seoul eating a hot meal. A kitten rescued from the streets of Bangkok. A forest reborn in the Philippines. And somewhere in that vast constellation of lives, 2 names glow faintly but steadily, Xiao and Wang Yibo, quietly inspiring millions to choose compassion. The story doesn't end there. The morning light slipped over the skyline, spilling gold across a quiet street in Chengdu. A group of young fans gathered outside a small orphanage, their arms full of boxes labeled for the children from Xiao's fans. Inside those boxes were school bags, art supplies, warm clothes, and handwritten letters sealed with love. One of the fans, a girl no older than 20, carefully set a package down and whispered, "He always says to be kind, so this is our way of saying thank you." The caretaker of the orphanage watched as they unloaded dozens of gifts. "You're doing this for a celebrity?" she asked, curious. The girl smiled and shook her head softly. "Not for him," she said. "Because of him." That moment captured the very heartbeat of a global phenomenon. Fans who didn't just adore, but acted. They didn't chase fame, they chased purpose. In every corner of the world, Xiao and Wang Yibo's influence took shape in ways that shimmered beyond entertainment. In Guangzhou, fans gathered in the rain, planting trees to honor the day the Untamed first aired. Their shoes sank into the mud, their hands blistered, but no one complained. "We're planting memories," one fan said, pressing the soil around a sapling. "Someday, when this grows tall, maybe kids will play under it, and that's enough." Half a world away in Paris, a group of international fans turned a cafe into a pop-up charity event. They sold handmade fan art and photo prints, each one representing moments from their favorite drama. The funds they raised went to a children's hospital. The walls echoed with laughter, art, and stories of how one show, one friendship, one spark of inspiration had connected them all. The owner of the cafe, moved by their passion, joined the event himself. "I've never seen fans like this," he said. "They're not just celebrating someone, they're changing lives." And then came the scene that took everyone's breath away. Thousands of fans gathered at a riverside park in Chongqing, carrying lanterns glowing in shades of crimson and white, Xiao Zhan's and Wang Yibo's colors. The night sky mirrored the soft reflection of those lights on the water. A gentle hush fell as one voice spoke through the crowd. "Tonight, we light these lanterns for kindness, the kind that spreads, the kind that heals." As the lanterns lifted into the sky, one by one, the river shimmered like liquid gold. Each light carried a message written by a fan, promises to do better, to love harder, to live with grace. Some lanterns read, "I'll study harder and help others." Others said, "Thank you for teaching me patience." And one, drifting higher than the rest, read simply, "You made me believe in good again." That night, the hashtag Lanterns for Love exploded across social media. Even people who had never seen the Untamed shared the video, saying it restored their faith in humanity. Xiao Zhan's fans, often called Peter Pans, symbolizing purity and hope, continued to turn birthdays into days of giving. In one breathtaking initiative, they raised funds to help build classrooms in impoverished villages. Children who once studied under leaking roofs now sat at proper desks, learning to read and dream. A teacher from one of those villages once said, "We didn't even know who Xiao Zhan was. But now, when we see his name, we think of love." Meanwhile, Wang Yibo's fans mirrored that energy with their signature strength and speed. In an event called Ride for Hope, inspired by Yibo's love for motorcycles, fans across Asia organized charity rides to collect donations for disaster relief. From Malaysia to Vietnam, they roared through the streets with flags bearing his initials, not as a symbol of fame, but of unity. When interviewed, one fan said, "He races not to win, but to move forward, and we do the same." The beauty of it all wasn't just in the scale of the giving, but in the artistry behind it. Fans didn't just donate money. They created music videos, short films, digital artworks, and charity exhibitions. Each project carried a piece of their idol's spirit, creative, disciplined, and deeply human. One remarkable example came from a group of art students in Singapore who launched an exhibit titled Untamed Hearts. Every painting represented acts of kindness inspired by Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo. A hand reaching for another, a single light in a storm, a quiet smile shared between strangers. The proceeds went to support mental health awareness programs for youth. At the closing of the exhibit, a fan stood by a painting of a child holding a red lantern. She said softly, "I came here because of them, but I'm leaving a better person because of what they inspired." Online, too, the legacy grew wings. Fan pages that once shared clips and photos began highlighting local charities, encouraging members to take small actions in their daily lives. Buy a meal for someone today. Donate your old clothes. Write a kind comment. Even celebrities outside the fandom began to notice. A well-known host once said on national TV, "When fan culture is built on kindness, it stops being fandom, it becomes humanity." And that's exactly what happened. There's a saying among fans, "Where Xiao Zhan walks, flowers bloom. Where Yibo moves, rivers flow." Together, those flowers and rivers have formed a living landscape of generosity, a reflection of how light multiplies when shared. A fan from the Philippines once described it perfectly. "Before them, I was just a fan. After them, I wanted to be someone who gives." Imagine this as the final shot of the story. A small child in a rural village opens a book for the first time. A nurse in a crowded hospital receives a donation that helps her care for patients. A tree planted years ago now shades a playground full of laughter. Each of these moments traces back to a spark, to two artists who never asked to be worshipped, only understood. And to millions of fans who chose to love, not with noise, but with action. So, To every fan watching this right now, this isn't just a story about celebrities.
It's a story about you.
About how your love, your passion, your kindness can ripple out and touch the world. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You just have to start right where you are with what you have. Because kindness spreads. Because light multiplies. Because people like Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo have shown that influence isn't measured by followers, but by how many lives you make brighter. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that love can build, heal, and inspire, then let's keep that light alive together. Sparkles, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more inspiring stories from around the world. Together, let's keep spreading love, one act of kindness at a time.